Survive with RA podcast. Today we're just going to be having a chat on how Marsha's keeping up with her diet and obviously maybe going into what it's like when you might have to give up work when you're dealing with this disease and some roadblocks when it comes to the medical journey that we're on at the moment. So, yes, how's your diet going at the moment? How long have you been on it for now?
Oh, well, I've probably been on it. Well, I've probably been on it seriously probably for about a week.
Yeah.
But then prior to that, kind of just the lead up of giving up a lot of stuff. So
taking a lot of stuff out of your diet and just making that gradual change.
Yeah. So I'm feeling a bit. I'm going okay. I'm probably feeling better. Like maybe in some ways I probably got more energy, but like on the mental side of it, I'm probably feeling a bit sad. I'm a bit depressed because I'm missing my happy food. like even though I enjoy the food that I'm eating, and it's been a bit repetitive lately because I've been a bit sore because obviously I was on prednisone for 3 weeks and I've gone off it. So there's always this reaction when you go off prednisone. Well, it is with me. I have this reaction, and then it's like you're kind of on this. I feel like you're on this high for a few weeks, and then when you go off it, it's like you kind of drop down. So I've got the.
Does it affect your hormones, the prednisone, or?
Well, I don't know what it's affecting, but it definitely affects my personality. Like
mood, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely can affect your mood, and and things like that. It definitely makes me a lot happier and gives me a lot more energy. And I don't know whether that's the prednisone itself or whether, like once you get all the information out of your body, you actually feel better. So, but I think it's probably a little bit of both, which is a bit of a downer because I'm giving up all my happy food and no prednisone. So,
yes.
So I'm feeling a bit grumpy,
Is it physically, like pain has obviously pain still there, so it might be having a small energy boost, but other than that, you haven't seen many changes yet?
No. Because I'm thinking a lot of my thing, it's especially with my shoulders, it's turned into osteoarthritis. So, like I've said before, so I don't know how much the diet will help with that, but I think I've known, read a lot about diets, and I know with myself, when you change your diet, things get worse before they get better.
Yes.
So I'm kind of expecting a bit of a, downhill thing for a while. So I've just got to, work with that and get
through your way through that first few weeks.
Yeah, well, it can be, it probably take up to a month to, or more to kind of really, your body to kind of think, oh, okay, now we're eating this sort of food,
Yeah, and for all the benefits to kick in and actually, do its thing.
Yeah, so I'm I think I'm doing good considering,
So I think you said you weren't doing too much anti-inflammatory foods, just more of a healthy. You've cut the junk food basically, so you've done that. You're doing that change, and then you're going to start doing maybe some naturopath and maybe some anti-inflammatory foods, I think.
Yeah. Get really into maybe the more organic and the more gluten-free, specifically.
The real crazy health nuts stuff.
Some of the foods I'm eating are, probably got, some. Majority of it is gluten-free, but there is those little things that I've still got. I've still been eating that's, I could, maybe cut out eventually.
Yeah.
So
that's all going to take time and preparation.
Yeah. So I think I'm.
I think well. Obviously, you've made some changes and you're tracking on well.
And I've probably lost about. From when I started, I've probably lost about 4 kilos.
There you go.
Since when I, recently started cutting back all the stuff. So I mean, that's a. I feel like it's a pretty good, effort. Like I'm kind of happy with that sort of. So
any change that's good is obviously going in the right direction.
Yeah. So as far as the pain, my pain, I'm still been, having to take, I still kind of alternate my Panadol and my ibuprofen, and but I'm lucky I'm not on stronger. I have been offered stronger painkillers. They've offered me morphine patches and all sorts of things.
Oh,
but
wow.
I'm really, because I know the pain is because it just keeps me awake, and
Yeah.
But
At
I
least,
just
like,
don't,
for
I don't want to
sleeping.
go down that road
Yeah.
of popping,
Until it's like 100%, like you're like like, you know what I mean? Like you can't bear it anymore.
Yeah, I think, probably, keeping myself off the prednisone probably saves me, but it's not really saving my hands though. It probably helps my hands and shoulders because my shoulders are osteo now. It's kind of, they're a bit worn down. So I'll have to, just work with that, maybe with physios.
Well, yeah, that's what leads me into the roadblocks we've been experiencing. So I've been trying to get Marsha basically seen a private specialist, because obviously we've just been using the Medicare system due to, obviously not being people who are filthy rich. So we've had to obviously go the Medicare route. Obviously that can be quite slow because they don't really do too much unless, you're in urgent care for it, or don't put you at the top of the list until, it's absolutely necessary. But we've been doing the private kind of sector. We've been looking into getting her to see a few private raumatologists, and just the waiting list. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
I think you need your hands done really quickly. Like we wanted to get your hands done in June. You know what I mean? And it's June now. And the waiting list was November? Not till November? Like, that's insane. And then you have to be there's all these conditions, and it's just like, especially when you're in your stage, like you think that, I don't know, it just goes to show there must be thousands of people with this condition if it's booked up to that capacity.
Yeah, there is. As far as I know, there's millions.
Wow, yeah.
Obviously,
and that's show how much food, because you said it's a gut thing, like the food, just how much processed food has made, when you think about it, a lot of the foods that we make today is what's causing a lot of health problems.
Yeah.
With majority of people. Like, if everyone just went back to natural eating, imagine all the diseases and things that would probably be cleared up. Like, it's insane that we haven't looked into that more food-wise. Even as like a society. Like, I don't know why. I guess it's our own choice, is it? Like, it's really up to the consumer.
It is society, and what we're kind of, everything around us, we're kind of just following, we're like sheep, I think sometimes, we're just, going with the flow,
Like, when you do like an experiment, like for a drug or a medication, it's to help someone get better. You think if someone was living off barbecue chips their whole life and they were extremely ill, you think they'd stop selling barbecue chips.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not like, or you know what I mean? Like, even smoking, like they haven't taken tobacco off the market, even though it kills people. Like, it's just amazing what it's just like, well, whatever you guys want to buy, we will happily sell it to you. You want to do it? It kills you? No worries. We'll still feed it to you anyway. Oh, God. But that's why it is important to do your own research, try and stick to a better diet. Like, it's obviously has
I don't know,
benefits.
it would help if, some medical care professionals are better than others. Like, they help you to be proactive, where other ones, hey, sorry,
they make you accountable, like,
like they kind of say, you're keeping up your physios, you're doing this, doing that, where, but like mental health's got a lot to do with that as well. You kind of, and I think you need help.
You need to be pushed.
You need help to, get you to the physio appointments, and to, I know, you say be proactive, and I look back now and I think, why couldn't I be more proactive? Why didn't I do more back then? But I was just so, so lost in trying to do what I had to do at the time. Like it's not always so black and white, you know. Yeah. So.
Well, you just get distracted by life. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like, and it's kind of hard to, unless you got to be dedicated. And I think as hard as it is, there's always going to be days where you just like, oh, I just don't want to do anything today, or I just can't do it today, and you have a shutdown moment. But you got to push through. Like, unfortunately, that's just the case. Like, you just got to.
But see,
You got to want it, I guess, as well. Like, really bad.
And I had this drive that I had to keep, you know, and I had to keep working, and I had to keep doing, you know, I had this, you know what I mean? But I wish my drive was toward my health, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? You know, my drive was, you know, I had to help support the family, you know, like, and just get out there and work. I was just happier when I was working.
Yeah. Just having your financial independence, yeah.
Yeah. So I was, you know, I just kept having this drive, even though I was in pain and, you know, like, I just kept pushing myself. And, I just kind of went from job to job because, you know, I'd end up in, you know, emergency in the hospital, and I'd just be, you know, I would be so sore I couldn't even move.
Well, you did physical jobs as well.
Yeah.
You did factory jobs, and were you in a factory job when you found out you had RA?
Yeah, I was pretty much in factory jobs probably except for the last couple of years, because I just kept thinking I could just go back to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just wasn't living in reality, you know, like eventually I kind of realised, okay, this thing's not going away.
Yeah.
You know? So.
But you didn't know what it was then. You were just.
No, this was after I knew what it was. You know what I mean? I was still in denial. I didn't want to.
So you found out you had RA and you continued to work.
Yeah, I continued to work. But I would just be, you know, some jobs would last months, some just weeks. You know, I'd last a couple of weeks, and, you know, I'd end up, you know, flaring up, and, you know, then of course I'd end up in emergency. And,
you know, a lot of employers aren't very flexible when it comes to.
No, well, that's right. And
needing a lot of time off. And did you tell them you had RA, your employers?
Some I did. Yeah. And then others, you know, I kind of started to realise they're not going to give me the job.
Yeah.
You know.
And I guess a lot of people are dealing with this as well, like just coming to terms that you might have to stop working. And when did you come to terms with, I guess, when you had to decide that you just couldn't do it anymore?
Well, eventually, I suppose it was probably about 2009.
Okay.
Sadly, I think it was I had my last, you know.
And did you have to wait long before you got on disability?
Well, I think it took about another 4 or 5 years after that.
Wow, that's way too long.
You know,
why didn't they put you on it straight away?
Because you just got to go through all the stuff, the disabilities. I was already working with the disability people.
Yeah.
Like prior to going on, getting on the disability pension, I was working with, because I just still didn't want to stop, even though.
Yeah.
I still thought, oh well, maybe I can do the disability, help me do some courses. I did some courses, and of course, which I loved, because it got me away from the house, and I could just, you know, I'd be sitting, so, you know, I wouldn't be wearing myself out.
But if they were trying to get you to do a computer job, like, they know RA affects your hands eventually, like they're just setting you up for failure.
Of course I did eventually. Like back then I was still, okay, it was my knees and my, you know, like it was on my feet, so I couldn't do my, you know, I thought, so I got to get a job where I can sit, and stuff like that. But because my knee, after a while, my knee didn't bend, like it was hard to sit.
Yeah.
It was uncomfortable to sit because the pain, I'd get pain and I'd have to get up and I'd have to sit and I'd have to, but anything I was doing repetitive, like back then my hands would cramp up. They're not seizing. They weren't seizing like they are now, but they were cramping, you know. Anything I did repetitive would just, you know, it'd just flare up. So it was, you know, but I actually ended up with this, I got the chances at this administration traineeship that I got from the Disability Services, which I was, I had a pretty bad knee then. So, you know, I thought, oh, you know, this is an opportunity. I think, oh, I was really excited about it, you know. And I get in there, and
is that the higher place? They're like equipment hire or something?
It was one of those ones where the government pays them for...
Oh, training, like, okay, yeah.
For training you. So I thought, oh, this is cool. I'm going to, I thought, oh, this is really great. And I got in there and of course, they're starting into the, they're getting me to, stack the stationery cabinet and, filling envelopes and I think I was even making coffee and, doing stuff. It's like all the stuff that no one else really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, not that I minded because I'm a pretty, I'm pretty easygoing sort of person. I'll do anything, like just, give me something to do and I'll do it, But I was there to learn administration. That was what I was there
It was
to
a
do.
traineeship, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a traineeship.
Yeah, so they're meant to physically actually be training you.
Yes, and I'm thinking, and, I'd get on the computer when they did start me on the computer. I already knew a little bit about computers, already knew, some administration, so they didn't have to show me everything. But
even, like, when I start a new job, like, people probably don't know what I do, but I run basically a virtual office that offers, like, accounting, bookkeeping, admin, etc., marketing. Everyone does everything differently. Like, even if you know how to use Xero, you have to know how the company uses Xero to their company's procedures. You can't just walk in and be like, okay, you've been trained on Xero, here you go, doing Xero. Like, it does not work like that. Like, the fact that they didn't sit down and show you how they process their work, like, is insane.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even have a process. That's
oh my God.
Like, they were like, it was just like, and every time I would ask a question, they would just, she just didn't have the time for me, this lady that was supposed to be training.
Yeah.
And I was really getting, and this went on probably for a few weeks where they weren't really showing me anything and no one really had time for me and, I was really getting distressed over it, because I was really excited about this,
Do you think they were just making you do a job and they weren't really doing a traineeship?
I actually think that they just took the money from the government.
Yeah.
They'll get someone from disability services and just have someone in the office,
Yeah, just plotting around, Yeah,
just to plot around, maybe do the odd jobs maybe that they didn't have time to do. And I wouldn't have minded that. I still would have got paid, but because I had pain with my arthritis and everything, I needed something that was less physical. So,
yeah,
they were still getting me to do all the physical things. And I thought, well, what's the point of this? But there was this one day I'd reached and I'm a pretty patient, kind of shy type of person, and I was sitting there on the computer and I'd ask and no one was responding to what I'm saying or anything. And I stood up in the middle of the room. There's probably only 3 ladies in the room at the time. I stood up in the middle of the room and I said, look, if no one's going to teach me anything, I might as well not be here. And I just walked out.
Did anyone say anything?
I walked out and went home. Well, they didn't. Of course, they couldn't say anything because I just left. But obviously, the bloke from the disability services rang me, and then they rang where I was doing the course, and of course, they got us back for a intervention.
Oh no, they didn't.
Yeah, they did. So me and the head lady.
That's
were
so
sitting
awkward.
there,
Oh.
And I thought, and I really wanted this traineeship. That's why I went back, because I had to say something. I just couldn't.
Wow.
So we're sitting across from each other, and I think she maybe thought maybe I knew more than what I did, and we're kind of throwing things back and forth, like trying to understand each other's perspective, because I'm saying, I know you're really busy and all that sort of stuff, and I know it's not easy, kind of thing. But anyway, she was so nice to me after that time.
But honestly, though, what do you think a traineeship was, woman?
I did finish the course. I did finish the course, but I really come out with not knowing hardly any more than what I already knew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But, okay, honestly, that's with everything. Like, every single, like, that bookkeeping course I did, like, it was nothing. Like, a bunch of theory. Like, oh, my God, get over it. Like, it's just, honestly, I could spend a week in an office and learn more.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I was thinking I was going to do.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I'm going to be in the office and actually having real office experience,
Mhm.
you know. And it's really hard for someone that's, you know, I was sort of person that was so used to using my broad and not my brains,
Yeah.
you know, so it was a complete whole turnaround for me. And it is still to this day. It's like this. I'm still coming to terms with the, you know, the physical aspect turning, you know, like, you know, I've got to learn to use my, you know, brain and not my broad kind of thing, you know. Yeah, so, but that's hard when you're tired and fatigued and in pain as well, so.
Yeah, but it's just such a progressive disease. Like, it takes all the important things, you know, like your feet, your hands, like they're the things you need to do anything most of the time.
Yeah.
So that's why it's just so difficult. Like, we've been researching this, it's like, you know, new technology that comes out now where you don't really have to use your hands for a mouse and you can, you know, talk instead of typing. There's a lot of those things kind of getting out there now, which is good. But again, you've got to learn and develop how to, I guess, utilize that technology and kind of get used to using it. Like, I want to definitely try it because I reckon it'd be good to just not be sitting down all the time. Like, I could kind of be walking around and doing what I need to do. But yeah, it'd still be, I think you still got to use a foot pedal though, like a foot pedal.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's still physical in some aspect.
Yeah, well, just what you were showing me the other day, just being able to talk and type, like just talk, and it was typing for me. Obviously, I've still got a lot to learn to practice that, and I'm hoping to get more into that as time goes on, because I'm thinking, wow, you know, like, and it's
just annoying having Michael in the house because you can't, like, I can't do anything with my partner in the house. Like, if he's here, I could never talk or do like a blog entry or something. Like, I'd just feel weird, like him listening to me.
Yeah, that's why I go out of the house, like, kind of thing. So it's yeah, like he's all for it, you know, like he's, you know, but you know, yeah. I really don't know what he thinks.
Yeah, but you don't really need him walking past and like doing something silly or saying something inappropriate.
Yeah, not that he would, you know, he'd probably try and crack a joke or something. So.
And it would be a terrible dad joke, so it wouldn't fly on this podcast. Oh my God.
And, you know, really, I was, you know, looking back and I'm thinking, you know, when you're, you know, in and out of work and all the things that are happening in your life, whether it's physically, emotionally, you know, all that sort of stuff, like there's so much more going on than just the medical side of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, during the time, you know, really looking back, I'm thinking, you know, like my marriage was falling apart back then, you know, like, you know, so, you know, between, probably between his drinking.
You had way too much going on. You had an alcoholic husband, 2 kids, pretty much 9 months apart.
And me running away, you know, trying to avoid, you know, all my stuff going on and playing the pokies. It wasn't, you know, I mean, we ended up separating. I ended up moving out, you know, like you girls and me ended up moving out to a unit, you know, by ourselves. And then...
Did you only move out once?
Yeah, like we separated a few times over the years.
I only remember the time that we lived near Cassie and Sam.
Yeah, that was one time. That was probably the initial first time, but then I got the unit.
But you didn't know you had an RA then?
No.
No, I was like, what, 8 or 7? Or 10?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, it'd be something like that.
That's the only time I remember you guys separating.
Yeah. I can't. You remember the other unit?
I don't remember. The one that
the one in Narangba. Can you remember that one?
No, when I was older and I'm out of the house.
Do you remember Dad getting picked up for drink driving? Like Dad got picked up for it. We'd moved into a unit. We weren't. That's probably why, because we weren't there very long. We'd moved out, and The one you're thinking of was before I was diagnosed.
Yeah.
So the things that I'm talking about now are probably from when I've been diagnosed.
Was it before or after Avocado Drive?
It was after Avocado Drive. Because
Really? Wow, I really don't remember that.
Because Dad, we'd moved into this unit, which I really loved actually. It was a beautiful green, lovely, I really loved the unit. But Dad would call in all the time. But this time he went home and he got picked up for drink driving.
Oh, God.
And of course, probably because he was so used to me driving him everywhere.
Yeah.
He got picked up for drink driving. He lost his license for 18 months.
Ooh.
And at the time, I didn't want him to lose his job on top of everything else. I was.
He's already going down a hill.
Yeah, everything else. So we ended up moving back into the house. So that's probably why you don't remember, because it was only I hadn't been there very long. And I thought it was just easier because Dad's going to need someone to take him. And of course he had to do a drink driving behaviour course as well.
Of course.
So, I had to drive him to and from work every day. Lucky sometimes he did have workmates that did pick him up, which gave me a bit of a
relief,
bit of a break.
See what I mean?
So
no, just
all that stuff,
people relying on you for I just don't get it. I'm a very selfish person, so I always do what's best for me, and that's probably because of a trauma that I've suffered. Nothing to do with you guys, more my animal loving trauma, but it just made me realize that I don't care about what anyone thinks. I'm just going to live every single day like it's my last day and what I would want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously I've still got to make a living, but other than that, I'm so selfish with my life, and it has hurt a lot of people's feelings along the way. Probably especially Dad, but it's just something that I have to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For myself, and you should have done that a long time ago. You're still very concerned about what people needing you and you letting them down. You know what I mean? You're still you hold on to all that, and you're just still very caring whether, I just think you should have just let that go. And even though it might create their own demise, Dad might have went down this huge rabbit hole, whatever, but that's their choices, that's their decisions. You can't be held responsible, for what they do, basically.
Mm.
Especially when you have a disease, and that's another thing. It's one thing someone being healthy and kind of depending on a healthy person all the time and kind of taking over their lives. It's another thing having someone who has RA and still asking them for things, still asking them to do things for you, relying on them. The fact that you're even taking advantage of this person when you know what situation they're in, that blows my mind.
Yeah. But it was probably, when I look back, I'm thinking I was such a good actor.
Yeah.
I was such, that, I would hide my pain. I've got to a stage now where I can't hide my pain, I'm crying.
Yeah, but again, your daughters don't. I mean, I know you are because we talk, but your other daughter, Amber's seeing you cry heaps, but she doesn't really. Hold on, cut.
Amber's seen a lot of my emotional pain, growing up. She was probably in her early teens, and.
But it was it RA pain or more just emotional life pain?
Yeah, I think all of it. I mean,
I think she's taken it more as you're just unhappy in your marriage. You're just you know what I mean? I think when she saw you in crying and stuff, I think it was more to do with you coping with life.
Yeah.
Instead of you're actually sick. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
There's two ways of looking at it. You can be oh, Mum's just upset with life. She's just depressed. You know what I mean? And then there's no, Mum's actually sick and she's dealing with a lot of pain and suffering and her disease. I see it like that, so I would never take advantage.
Yeah.
Whether I think my sister, bless her, she's lovely, but I think because she hasn't made that connection with Mum, on an intimate level, I don't think she doesn't really see you like that. I think she's only just realised what's happening because you've finally been a little bit more truthful with her, a little bit more vulnerable. And kind of expressing to her that now it's time that you do have to really focus, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's been challenging to
Put
try and
yourself
let go.
first. Yeah.
You know, to let go. You know, I mean, going back, I mean, I did end up, you know, when he lost his license and all that stuff was going on, I did end up on antidepressants. You know, I was depressed. I was emotionally and physically drained.
Does that even, when I went on that when I was younger, it just wasn't good for me. I just remember not caring about anything.
No, that's why I ended up going off it, love.
Yeah, because you just don't, it's like you don't have any feelings anymore.
Yeah, like I was, you know, it was on this level, of course, where, okay, it stopped me from crying, right?
Yeah.
But then I didn't feel anything. It was like I got to the stage where I just didn't care about anything. So I'm thinking,
yeah, I know.
I don't like this. I don't like feeling this way. I got so sick of not caring about anything.
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
I would rather feel pain and feel alive.
Yeah. Well, that's why I end up going off them, because I was just thinking, you know.
I'm so glad I didn't do that when I was younger though, because when did they put you on it?
This was during between the time I was diagnosed and the time. This is when, you know, when Dad lost his license.
Yeah.
It was pretty much not long after that, because I kind of, with everything else that was going on, it kind of put me on a, because having to be there, you know, like Dad was always at work, which was great, you know, you know, and being sore, and then you have to drive someone to work and pick them up, and then you can do your stuff that you're trying to do. I might have been still working, but I probably had to come home, take Hughes to school, you know, like lots of working parents. But it's hard enough when you're feeling okay to be a working mother, you know.
Definitely. People struggle already without being healthy.
Yeah, you know. And of course I was trying to give up smoking at the same time, which was sending me, you know, that wasn't, you know.
I don't remember you smoking at all.
Well, I haven't smoked for a long time now, but I tried to hide it from you. So I was a smoker, but, you know.
A closeted smoker.
Yeah, a bit of a closeted smoker. Like, a bit of a closeted everything, I think. Like,
pretty much. It's all coming out now. Let's hope they don't find our podcast.
Do you really want to know?
Yeah, we should probably tell Dad and Amber that we're not online. I hate them to come across us one day. That's probably everything they already know anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
They've just got that. They've just one of those personalities, like both of them, Amber and Dad. They've just got those personalities where I don't know how to. They almost like they don't deal with it until they have to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so let's not talk about anything serious. Let's not plan 5 years in the future. Let's just wake up, live today, and whatever happens, happens. And if it happens, we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like 10 years planned into the future. Everything's mapped out. Like, I need to know what we're doing, every single step. And I think because I've got ADHD or OCD, I've probably got both of them. But when you do, this is what it's like having ADHD. When someone says, hey, let's go out to the beach. In my head, I'm like, oh, I've got to get a towel ready. I've got to get this bag ready. I've got to get sunscreen. There's all these things I've got to get. I'm pretty much planning every single step, the drive there, where we're going to stop, what we have to do. Do we have to get petrol?
Yep.
All these stages have to go through my head before I can even accept to go to the beach. And then I think, is it even worth it? Is it even worth it? Because there's like 30 steps that I have to do before we can make this decision. Then there's another 50 steps I have to do at home before I can even leave home with all my animals. It's like, but them, they're just like, I just wanted to go to the beach. Like they don't think like that.
And it's like we're exhausted before we even get out the door.
By the time we've thought about everything, I'm like, oh, it's not even worth it. Like, no, I can't do this today. Oh,
and like the difference is between like probably Dad and me is, you know, like you know, I'm like planning everything, you know, every dollar. Like,
and it makes us comfortable. It's a comfort thing. There's not like even just talking about. I literally just had the feeling of comfort come over me right now when we're talking about just this, like just the plan that has to be in. But like it's just like to me it just makes me feel so much more comfortable knowing that everything's stepped out in my head. We're all organised. Yeah, like
And I think I liked helping people for that reason, because like it gave me this, you know, I would plan everything and give them ideas and, you know. And
but they
people,
never use it. They don't, like, if they're not like us, they won't utilize it. It's like
Yeah.
a waste of, like, they probably don't even look at it. Like,
No.
or they look at it like it's too much. Like, oh my God, what is all this? Like, it's not that complicated.
Like me, I would do up at this, you know, budget from, you know, weekly right down to, you know, fortnightly, monthly, right through a year. And, you know, I'd have it all planned. This is what we've got to save. This is what we've got to do, you know. And then I'd show Dad, and he says, oh my goodness, what are you doing that for? That's depressing. You know, like if you try and make up a budget, that'd be just depressing to him. You know, why do you do that to yourself? You know, but to me it was, you know, this great plan I had, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it gives you, if I don't have a plan for the day, I can't focus on the day.
Yeah.
I need to have a schedule.
Yeah.
And it's not because you have ADHD, because you walk past something, you're like, oh, I've got to do that, I've got to do that, I've got to do that. But if you have a list, you can actually get stuff done and not get distracted by the 50 other things that you get distracted by during the day.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's what happens to me.
And my I was, you know, I know, like,
and
my
having
office.
that brain with RA, like,
Yep.
oh my God, like you physically can see 20,000 things to do and you physically can't do them. And that's, I guess, what's taking a big mental toll, having to fight through that battle.
Yeah, yeah. And of course you've got all your things that you've been brought up with you that are in your head as well, you know, like, because, you know, medical things and going to a doctor's was, you know, like, I know my mother probably even says to this day, my darling mum, love her to dearly, you know what I mean? She's a beautiful person. But she's, you know, she's hardly even seen a doctor hardly in her whole life. She's nearly 80, you know what I mean? She's 79, and
She's done well.
she doesn't trust doctors, like, you know what I mean? Oh, she says, oh, I don't know about those doctors, you know. I don't know about you taking all that medication, you know, love. You know, it's like, you know, right back, you know, like it was.
Well, now I know where I get my conspiracy
theory medication
from.
Yeah. Well, that's right. You do get, you know, when you're growing up, you kind of, you know, you build this, you know, truth in your mind about what is true to you. And then when you finally realize that, oh my God, you know, there's truth outside that box, you know.
It's mind blowing.
You know, you start to, and then it hits you. Oh my God, what have I been doing with my life?
Yeah.
You know.
Everyone, I think that's about time for today. Thank you for listening, and hopefully you can tune into the next episode. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for listening. Bye.